Hello students, today we will study about the globalization. This is the last lecture of our series. So in this globalization unit we will understand about the concept of globalization and what are the causes that led to the globalization and what are the consequences of it, like political consequences, economic and the cultural consequences of globalization. And we will also look into the global impacts of globalization impacts in India and what are the resistance against the globalization started after it. So let's begin with the topic of globalization. So first thing we need to look is what is globalization and what it's called, why it's called globalization. So globalization is an interconnectedness of the nation and the countries. With it, the goods and the capitals being exchanged with this country, it also created a new interdependence between the countries because a lot of trade exchange was started with these things. So it's not only exchange of goods but also services, capital and even the ideas. So it encompasses a movement of people, information and the commodity across the borders, and this globalization led to the creation of one single entity in the whole world, or whole world come into together or created a sort of togetherness with this globalization. So even it's also created a lot of integration in the economy, cultural and the society point of view. So a lot of new things started emerging after the concepts of globalization, and it's also impacted the different section of the society and different country in a different way. So let understand what are the causes of the globalization. So as you understand, this globalization created an interconnectedness between the countries in terms of the economy, in terms of the culture. Now we'll look into the causes, or what are the causes of globalization. In this picture you see there was one map and everything is connected with each other. So this is that's connection is called, or this interconnection is called globalization. So what are the causes that led to the globalization? So the first thing is the technological advancement. So the as a technology developed with the time, so the one thing it's led to the a lot of new interconnectedness with the different countries, like information and communication technologies. Easy information can go from this one place to another place. So this created a sort of awareness between the countries. One thing happen in one country can easily reach to the other country through these ICT things or IoT things. A lot of like telephone were invented. So after that, information sharing become very easy. Now the microchip was invented, and traveling became so cheap. One person from Delhi can go anywhere or London with few hours. So these things were started with the technological advancement. With this technological advancement, it's also facilitated trade later on, and investment between the countries, or we can say cultural exchange was started. So all these things were started because of technological advancement, because without the technological advancement we cannot think of the globalization. And what the other causes led to the globalization, that is the liberalization of trade. What does it means? With this liberalization, what we had done, we opened our economy for the other countries. Like we see the example of China in 1970s, how China opened its economy or transformed into the market economy, and later in 1990s how India turned its path towards the globalization, and India also opened its market for the other countries. So the liberalization of economy was also a second most reason for the globalization expansion. So these are the main reasons that impacted globalization. And what is the third cause? That rise of multinational corporation. We know like MNCs. So these multinational corporation or multinational companies started establishing their headquarters in the developing countries. You can take the example of India. When India became a liberalized country or started liberal reform after 1990s. So a lot of MNCs company from the America or big countries started coming into India and establishing their headquarters. So it's also led a lot of growth in the country. A lot of new investment was coming in the country in form of FDI, foreign direct investment, or a lot of new employment generation was started in the country. So these all things leads to the cause of globalization into the world. And these technological advancement, liberalization of trade, and rise of MNCs led a lot of changes in the places where they occurred, because these MNCs corporation in India led a lot of change, not only in economic term also, but a lot of social change also visible in the form of family, like people who are living earlier in joint family with the MNCs. New youth of the country going to the towards the big city like Delhi, Bangalore. So with these things, a joint family system was also changed into a single family or small family. So these things change not only in terms of economic, but also a social change was visible with these globalization trends. And these are the reason of the globalization. Now let's to the come to the consequences. What are the consequences happen with the globalization? So the first thing that happened is it increased the cooperation between the countries. What does it means? It means there was agreement and through the organization, like a lot of organization, earlier we also mentioned this name, like World Trade Organization or the World Bank or the internet IMF. So these international platforms were created, and this international platform started talking about the development of for the developing countries. A lot of new things were started with these cooperation. So this also led to not a lot of cooperation or a lot of agreement between these countries. So this thing also started with the globalization. And the second thing is the shifting of political dynamics. What does it means? It means that when the globalization was started coming in different countries and started establishing their MNCs, or for even for the national government, where try to when they try to create an agreement with the international organization, so they had to accept some of the or they had to accept the international rules and regulation. And somehow it's also impacts the country, or it's also impact their domestic policies. So this also led a shift in the power also, because with this rise of power, states role now started becoming limiting. These MNCs also exercising their political influence in the country with the economic competence. So this also led a reduction or reduce the role of or reduce the capacity of government in the decision making. So this also led to the shifting role, or we can say the state role was limited with this shifting of political dynamics. And how it's led to the challenge of national security. As we know, these international organization or these MNCs started influencing the domestic policy. So this also created a challenge to the national sovereignty. Some time US and other big power try to use their economic power to influence some of the important countries. Even India, we see the hegemony of US in some way. US try to impose its rule and regulation in the country. So this that's how it's lead to the nation challenge of sovereignty. So these are the three political consequences of globalization. Now let's come to the next slide. What is the economic consequences of globalization? You all know that globalization led to the exchange of increase of global trade between the country, exchange of items, export import increased, production was also increased, a lot of interdependence also created between the countries. So all this led to the a lot of development in the different terms. First thing is that it increased the trade between the countries. So economic growth was one of the consequences of the globalization. It expand the market opportunity. Many people start going to the other countries with a with the cause of globalization, because they thought that other countries has better opportunity. So these all started happening with these globalization consequences. So these are the first consequences of globalization. Even you see the India become the one of the top remittances. So from where these remittances are coming? These remittances are coming because of many Indian youth started going to work in California or in Silicon Valley. So these things became a source of a lot of remittances for India. And the second thing is global investment. Globalization also impacted the cross border investment, like foreign direct investment. We all heard this word. So this globalization also increase the foreign direct investment with the countries, even FPI, foreign portfolio investment. So all these things were started with the globalization. So these are the this is the one and another consequences of the globalization. And the next thing is economic interdependence. What does it means? With these globalization, we also some sort of interdependent with these country. Something coming from one country and some of the things going this, like India became a source of raw material for the important developed country, and India was dependent for the finished good on the other countries, like for the microchips, or we can say for the technological advancement. India used to a lot of dependent on the other country. Like for the China, we are very much dependent for the some of the cheap material. So these sort of interdependence also created, but now with now time, every country trying to be more self sufficient in terms of economy. So and they also try to create a positive trade balance with more export and less import. So these are the things that are started changing now, but still we had an economic interdependence with each other. So these are the things in this time period. You can take the example of rare earth metal, because China was a more exporter of the rare earth metal. Australia one of the top exporter for the uranium. Kazakhstan was a top. So there was a lot of still a lot of interdependence between the countries for the some of the metals or some of the other resources. So these are the economic consequences of globalization. And these globalization really positively impacted every country, because even India, we see a lot of growth, a lot of people's living standard will increase with this globalization. So this is the very positive impacts of globalization in terms of economic, or in terms of economy. Now come to the next things, cultural consequences of globalization. So these cultural consequences of globalization impacting India in a sense a lot. You can see around yourself that how we are changed with this with the coming of globalization. The first thing that's happened after the globalization, that it's led a cultural exchange between the countries. It increased the cultural exchange, like people connected and sharing, and from the learning of the different countries. This all, like in terms of music, also in terms of fashion, food, even the clothing style also change in India. Earlier when you see the picture, most of the women either they wore saris, but now this sari culture was very changed. People, girls used to wear jeans. So all these things, or western clothing. So these all things were the consequences of globalization. Even you can see what we eat, drink, and wear. All these are the consequences of the globalization somehow. And this also led to the some sort of cultural homogenization. What does it means? It means a sort of a single culture, a sort of a global brand or global product overshadowed the local culture. Like today you see the famous brands, like in bags term you see the name of Louis Vuitton or Gucci. So this is all the impact of globalization. These are the very high pricing items, are very costly, but people see it as a very elite thing, or uh, very capitalist thing, we can say. So now people are attracting with these things. So this is how it's created some sort of homogenization in also same sort of food. People in India started eating pizza. Use even it's called a McDonaldization of world. So McDonald item were so popular. Even pizza became very popular thing in India. So all these change, how these change were seeing, these all led to the a sort of cultural homogenization, or impacting our native culture or our own culture. So even we see these things as a soft US soft power. In US hegemony we studied about this, what is US soft power. So US try to spread its capitalist ideology, or is try to do all these things for its capitalist gain also. So this cultural homogenization also impacting the India culture. Even this popular Pepsi thing or disco culture, these all things started and very popular now these days. Even you see this today thing of Coldplay tickets are very rare. They are selling on very in few seconds. So why these things are happening? These all the impacts of globalization. Things are very popular among the youth. So these all led to the cultural homogenization in India. And the next thing is the cultural hybridity. What does it means? It means a hybrid means when a Indian culture infused with the Western culture. This led to a new form of expression, a new form of phenomena in different thing. We see this hybridization in food also, in music also. Like you can see the example of uh, kurta and pant. Khadi kurta represent the India's culture, and wearing blue jeans shows the Western culture. This is the one thing. And the second thing in food item you see is the pizza paratha. So these are all the fusion of Indian and this Punjabi disco thing. So all these things let a sort of fusion of culture. This is that's why it's called the cultural hybridization. So these things were started with these. These are the some of the cultural consequences of globalization. So I hope you understand about the cultural exchange, cultural homogenization, and the cultural hybridity. So these are the cultural consequences of globalization. Now come to the next slide, the India and globalization. So the first thing is the economic growth. As you know, the first and foremost impacts of the globalization in India is the economic growth. As it's impacted significant in the economy, because after the 1990 crisis, Manmohan Singh come up with the LPG reform, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So with this globalization, FDI increased in India, and India leaves its abandoned its protectionist policy, or a barrier policy that India used to safeguard its domestic production. But now India open with the world market. So this led to a lot of increased production, a lot of increased investment in India. Also, it led to the integration of Indian market into the global market. So this is the one of the profit of positive impacts of the globalization in India. And the second thing happened is technological adoption. Like India also, with this globalization, India adopted the technological advancement. Like in IT sector, even now we see Noida as a we see Noida one of the center of IT sector. Bangalore were called the Silicon Valley, and in USA California is called the Silicon Valley. So this how we try to create some sort of technological adoption from the West. And this technological adoption, or this digital technology impacted positively for the India's growth also. So these are some of the positive change on India. And the third one is social impacts. So social impacts of globalization also seen, like now women started working. This is also, we can say, the impact of globalization. Now women in IT sector, you see women in different sector, not only limits to the teaching or homemaker. Now they started participating in the different jobs. So this is also contribution of the globalization. And that second thing is, it's all the traditional Indian joint family culture was also now diminished with the globalization. So these are the next impact of this, because some person who was working in Bangalore cannot live with the whole joint family. So these things change with the globalization. But on the some extent, it's also led a lot of issues. Like the traditional Indian society also impacted. Some of the inequality created, even the poor or rich section division were increased with this globalization. So these are the some of the impacts of globalization in India. Now come to the resistance to the globalization. What are the resistance? So as I mentioned you about the concern about the inequality, because this multi MNCs company and the wealthy nation were getting more profit, and the least developing countries or developing country being exploited also. So a lot of inequality also created with the concepts of globalization. Even in society level also we see the differentiation between the or difference between the different strata of society. And the second thing is happened is environmental concern, because this globalization increased the production level, so a lot of factory industries was also developed by leaps and bounds. So this also created a concern in front of the environmental, because with this Kyoto protocol there was different agreement, or different limits were granted for the emission. So a lot of developed country who cannot open their factories in the developed countries started coming toward the developing countries, because now developing country have some sort of lease, or some of sort of granted, some sort of they have discounts compares to the developed country. So this is how now the developing country became the home of industries and factories of the developed country. So this led to a lot of environmental concern also, because with these things happening, if these things happening to, so this defeats the whole cause of Kyoto protocol. So this is all the environmental concern. On other way also, not only in terms of the Kyoto protocol, like with these increased globalization, a consumption culture was also increased. So these led to the a lot of issue. And the third is loss of cultural diversity. As you know, the globalization leads to the sort of cultural homogenization in India now. So this is also creating a danger for the India traditional culture or society. Like if you come out of your house, or you try to see people around you, so you will see people wearing not native Indian clothes, they are wearing the western influence clothes. So this all led to the sort of cultural homogenization between different countries, not only in terms of clothing also, but you can see the change in culture of living, of food habits also change of people. The coffee culture was increased in India. Earlier there was no much coffee culture, people used to use either tea or some soft drink, but now this Pepsi culture increase, and the burger pizza consumption. So all these changes led to the a lot of danger for the India's cultural diversity, or in any part of world. It's led to a lot of homogenization of culture. So all these resistance see in the form of protectionism also. So now countries started looking for protecting its domestic industry or their culture. A lot of trade traffics or trade barriers started using against this, and they try to shield their domestic industries and jobs against the global competitors. In 1999, World Trade Organization protests at the Seattle, alleging under the trading practice by the powerful state, because these USA and Russia, these are the big power, we all know. So these powerful countries try to influence the, or try to impose, or try to flood it with the cheap product, and try to destroy the domestic market. A lot of laws were created by the countries to safeguard their traditional or their domestic territory. Even in terms of India, we see the how China try to flood the India market with its cheap toys or some of the cheap things. So this also create a danger for the India traditional market. So these led to the lot of protectionist policy in terms of India concern. So these are the resistance to the globalization started later on. So one of the very famous organization, World Social Forum. This organization created in 2001 and the firstly organized in Porto, Brazil. So this was the one of the famous organization starting talking about the human rights that are endanger the security of human life after the global world. So these organization on the world platform started talking about the grievances of the people. So the first meeting of this was happened in 2001 Brazil, and the fourth meeting of this happened in Mumbai 2004. This question even asked in the examination of your given where the fourth 2004 meeting of World Social Forum was happened, and the next meeting, the seventh meeting, was happened in Nairobi in 2007. So maybe you can remember this fact of seventh meeting. Maybe in the next examination they may ask on this question. And there was on this platform they talks about the human rights and the environmental concern that's are the emerging issues of the 21st century. So these are the resistance of the globalization, and these are the steps taken by the different countries, and how India reacted and how India resisted to the globalization, and what was happening in terms of India. Now let's see this. The first impact is the impact on agriculture. You know, India is a we all know that India is a agriculturist country earlier, and even today a large portion of population was do agriculture as its primary activity. So globalization had impacts Indian agriculture sector also, because a lot of the competition was started from the imports crop, and this led to the price instability in the market, or it's also changed a lot of displacement to the small scale farmers or small industry. A lot of high yielding variety seeds was coming. These are high cost for the people, so government started giving subsidies over these seeds or the pesticides. So these things started, and even this patent culture led to the a lot of controversy also, like the big European power try to patent items like that, like American firm try to patent over the name, and later on a turmeric issue was also there, potato patency. So a lot of patency issue, or these European power try to get patent over the some of the very important but later on India started protest against these things, like name we use very from the very ancient time we use neem as a antiseptics. So these things a lot of led a lot of impact and a lot of protest in the agriculture sector. And the second thing is loss of traditional industries, because as you know the globalization, with this globalization term, India market was flooded with the cheap machinery products. So this not compete for the traditional industry. So these traditional industries become very ruined condition, or they had to face the global player who are very experienced, who had a lot of monetary monetary power also. So this created a lot of issue, and this also led to the loss of a lot of traditional industries in India. So these are the second thing. Even today with the China toy, now our prime minister started and promoting the traditional Indian toys over the Chinese toy. So that now the toy industries of India is starting increasing over the time period. So these are the things now we are starting resisting, and now we are trying to and we are going towards the self sufficient nation, and we trying to get it by sooner or later. And the third thing is started this concern of the labor rights. So a lot of this led to the new controversy were started. Even you heard these terms about the corporate slave, that people used to work for on or an hour, and they will get only a some amount as a salary. So a lot of labor right, like overburden of work, long work shift. So all this led a lot of issue over over these things. Like in India, a lot of the lower section of people who in works as an labor also, so they get very low wages, or the working condition of there was not so good. And this also led a exploitation in the global supply chain. So these are the concern over that, and the calls for a fair trade. So India wanted a fair trade system where this trading was not for the benefit of big countries or big power, but every countries ensure the equitable benefit from these things. So it's involve a trade balance between the different countries. So these are the famous concern of the, and these are the major resistance done by the India against this globalization. Now what India tried to do, India tried to do is self sufficient in every arena. Like India wanted to beat in defense sector. Now in defense section, where India is going toward the indigenization of defense. Even traditional industry, we are reviving toward our traditional industries. Government started giving a lot of subsidies to these things, a lot of strong labor law, or we say a lot of over the issue of like fair trade practices. A lot of acts were created by the government. So these are the challenges, changes started coming with this issue, and in this form we are creating, or we are doing some sort of resistance against the globalization. Now we trying to go where no big power can control any developing country or least developing country. Now we need a equal role of different nation in the cooperation of the whole world and the prosperity of the whole world. There was no one will be only a raw supplier and other country only be a consumer of these goods. Now we trying to create a balance with these things, so that all the country get the equal benefit, and no country gets exploited with the form of in the form of globalization. So these are the major concern of India, and these are the MCQ question I have framed on the globalization topic. So you need to solve this question so that you can understand. So with this topic, Indeed of Globalization, we have completed our contemporary world politics book. So this is all the lecture series for that exam. So I think we are done with the both books. So I hope it will be helpful for you to understand this world politics and Indian politics with my lectures. So thank you all. Practice more question for the exam, so that you get an idea about the examination, how exam going to come. So all these things from my side, and try to look into the pictures of NCERT, so that you maybe some of the poster may be asked, like the UN question. I have given that question. Even one of the picture of soldier during the Iraq invasion was came in the examination. So you should look into these small thing. It's really help you to get a better college or a good college for the political science study. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much.